Bruce Willis wasn't just a movie star, he was a problem, and that showed up way before Hollywood made him one of the biggest names on the planet. Early in his career, people didn't really blame him. It was always something else. Bad timing, bad luck, or someone else entirely. Like Sable Shepherd, his co-star on Moonlighting. That show is what put Willis on the map and eventually got him into Die Hard. And here's the thing. A lot of people still think Willis was a complete nobody when he got cast as John McClane. Not true. The only real concern was his image. He was seen as a comedy guy, and Die Hard wasn't exactly a comedy. Meanwhile, Moonlighting in the 80s was one of the most expensive shows on TV, and also one of the messiest behind the scenes. Conflicts weren't rare, they were constant. Willis and Shepherd, they couldn't stand each other. At first, Willis was the unknown one, stuck in her shadow while she got all the attention. But season by season, that started to change. His paycheck got bigger, his name got bigger, and slowly he stepped out of that shadow. Then Die Hard hit, and everything changed. Suddenly, Willis wasn't holding back anymore. He started pushing back. He blamed Shepherd for pretty much every problem the show had, but the situation was already complicated from the start. Shepherd and ABC wanted another actor, Harley Venton, for the male lead. But the showrunner, Glenn Gordon Caron, saw something in Willis during auditions and went with him anyway. Ignored everyone else. Shepherd hated that, and yeah, that didn't help their relationship. Some say the show could have run 6 or even 7 seasons, but after Die Hard, Willis was done. He didn't want to be there anymore. According to him, he was fed up with Shepherd, constantly showing up late, dragging production out, and forcing him to work insane hours with no breaks. And at some point, he had to choose TV or movies. But there's another side to that story. Rumor has it, Willis himself was throwing tantrums during the final season, shutting down production more than once. So yeah, it wasn't just her. After Die Hard, his ego didn't just grow, it took over. There were no authorities for him anymore. No one he had to listen to. Every project became a gamble. Would the shoot go smoothly or turn into a disaster? No one knew. Conflicts on set became the norm, with actors, with directors, with pretty much anyone. Honestly, it's kind of surprising he didn't blow up during Die Hard 2, considering he openly said he didn't even like the movie. But maybe there's a reason for that. The studio gave him total freedom. And director Renny Harlin mostly stayed out of his way. Smart move. But then came Hudson Hawk, and that's where things went off the rails. A lot of actors who worked on that movie later said it was one of the worst experiences of their careers, which is wild because it actually started off great. Willis and Danny Aiello were close friends and had wanted to work together for years. So when Willis got the script, Aiello was immediately in. He even dropped another project he was already signed to. That's how much he wanted to do it. Willis and producer Joel Silver also picked the director together. They loved Heathers, so they brought in Michael Lehman. And yeah, that turned out to be a huge mistake. Lehman only had a couple of small films under his belt. He wasn't ready to push back against a major producer and a massive star like Willis. A more experienced director might have held his ground. Lehman didn't. Once filming started, Willis basically took over. Not officially, but in reality. He was rewriting the script, shaping scenes, making decisions. Joel Silver was known for trusting his stars, letting them improvise and tweak things on the fly. And sometimes that works. It worked on Predator, Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, 48 Hours. But here, it didn't. Not even close. It was a disaster. Willis changed so much in the script that he ended up getting a writing credit. Entire storylines shifted. Expensive sets built in Budapest, just sitting there unused. Some of them made it into the new ending. Most didn't. A lot of it ended up donated to the Da Vinci Museum in Milan. That's how chaotic it got. Lehman tried to speak up sometimes. Didn't go well. Willis would blow up and the producers would step in and basically tell the director to stay quiet and let the star do his thing. Actor Richard E. Grant, who had to drop out of Robin Hood Prince of Thieves because this production dragged on so long, later called Hudson Hawk a stinking pile of donkey manure. And after the movie crashed hard and Willis even picked up a Racy for worst screenplay, he didn't take the blame. He blamed the studio, said they marketed the movie wrong, sold it as an action comedy when it was really just a comedy. and that's why audiences hated it. Joel Silver backed him up, which is actually pretty funny considering the two of them would clash on the very next movie, The Last Boy Scout. There's a whole separate story there. But the main thing, Willis didn't learn anything from either of those disasters. Not really. He took a short break, one movie, and then kept going. Death Becomes Her went pretty smoothly, but that's not too surprising. It was directed by Robert Zemeckis, and Willis joined late, shot for less than a month, and left. No time to start a war. But he made up for it right after, on striking distance. And yeah, history repeated itself. Willis got involved in the script again, started changing things, pushing ideas. And by the time the movie hit test screenings at Sony, it was a mess. Audiences hated it completely. Back then, it was still called Three Rivers, and people described it as Hudson Hawk, but with all the humor removed. Think about that for a second. The studio panicked, sent it into expensive reshoots, basically rebuilt the movie from scratch. And Willis, he was furious about having to come back. So furious that he barely even tried to act. He clashed with director Rowdy Herrington constantly, but people on set say that wasn't new. He had been treating Herrington badly from day one, ignoring direction, taking over scenes, doing things his own way. Meanwhile, Herrington went out in public and defended Willis, calling him a true professional. Willis, on the other hand, blamed Herrington for everything. During reshoots, they added sex scenes, cut down dialogue, and threw in more action on the water. Re-edited the film multiple times. And eventually, one version made it to theaters, and just like Hudson Hawk, it bombed hard. Harrington's career basically never recovered, and Willis, he just slowed down a bit. For almost 3 years, something unusual happened. Bruce Willis stayed out of trouble. No major scandals. No on-set chaos tied to his behavior. Just movies. In that time, he released 4 films, and only one really flopped. The erotic thriller, Color of Night. Not exactly a disaster streak, but here's a fun twist. During that same period, Willis turned down the lead role in Speed. Yeah, that Speed. Unlike most actors who passed on it right away, Willis actually took it seriously. He liked the idea. Even talked to director John DeBont about the role. So, things were moving. It could have happened. But then, Quentin Tarantino showed up with Pulp Fiction. Mickey Rourke passed on the role and Tarantino went straight to Willis. And Willis, he was in. Immediately. Speed was out. And just like that, one of the biggest action hits of the 90s went on without him. After that short calm period, Willis went right back to his old ways, on the set of Last Man Standing. According to director Walter Hill, it never turned into a full-blown fight, but it was close. Willis argued with everything, every decision, every detail. He kept trying to reshape his character, but this time, things were different. Walter Hill wasn't someone you could push around. This was a guy behind 48 Hours, Brewster's Millions, Red Heat, and producer credits on projects like Alien and Tales from the Crypt. He had real weight in Hollywood. So for once, Willis couldn't take control, and that's rare. What's even more surprising? The Fifth Element went smoothly. Almost. Willis didn't love the costumes. Yeah, that famous orange outfit wasn't exactly his favorite, but that was about it. No drama, no chaos, nothing major on set with Luc Besson. But that calm didn't last long. Next stop, The Jackal. And this is where things blew up again. This time with Richard Gere. 2 big stars, one set? Bad idea. They couldn't work together. At all. Put them in the same scene and it was a problem. So the production did the only thing it could. Shot them separately. Literally kept them apart. And after the movie, it got worse. In interviews, they trashed each other publicly. Swore they'd never work together again. Ever. No matter the money. But somehow it still wasn't the lowest point. Because what came next was even worse. Willis didn't just clash on the next project. He basically killed it. Walked away while filming was already in full swing. And that turned into a full-blown disaster behind the scenes. Disney stepped in, locked him into a 3-movie deal, and sent him straight to work with Michael Bay. Now that's a combination, and honestly, if Willis hadn't been tied down by serious financial penalties, that set could have turned into one of the most legendary conflicts of the 90s. Because Michael Bay doesn't exactly handle actors gently, But Willis didn't have much of a choice, so he kept it together. Mostly. Later, he said he'd never work with Bay again, and that was that. Ironically, Armageddon and The Sixth Sense, movies he didn't exactly take on out of pure passion, became his last major box office hits. After that, things started slipping. In the early 2000s, 2 out of every 3 Willis movies were failing. The only one that kinda held up was Live Free or Die Hard, and even that felt like a step back compared to the original trilogy. It didn't even keep its R rating, which honestly might have been one of the reasons it didn't crash completely. Then came the last major on-set conflict everyone talks about, Cop Out in 2010. Kevin Smith was directing, the guy behind Clerks and Dogma. Not exactly a fan of big Hollywood studios, but he made an exception here. He liked the script, and even more, he loved the idea of working with Bruce Willis. Willis had been his favorite actor since he was 17 and saw Die Hard in theaters. They had already met before on Live Free or Die Hard, where Smith had a small role. Back then, Willis had already shut down a few of Smith's ideas about his character, but Smith didn't take it personally. I mean, if you're making a Die Hard movie, maybe you listen to John McClane. But Cop Out was different. This was Smith's movie, his set, his vision. And Willis, he wasn't even Smith's choice. The studio brought him in, and from day one it went bad. Really bad. According to Smith, working with Willis was impossible. The script, Willis didn't like it, so he just ignored it completely. At first, Smith tried to play along, thought maybe this was just improv, a Hollywood star doing his thing. But then Willis started doing scenes in silence, just not saying his lines at all. That's when Smith stepped in and tried to get him back on script, and that's when everything exploded. Willis snapped, started yelling, telling Smith that he was Bruce Willis, and Smith was just some nobody director with a couple of bad movies. According to people on set, it almost got physical. Willis had to be pulled away. After that, it was open war. He criticized everything, ignored directions, rewrote his own lines, walked off set, even went after technical stuff like camera lenses. And when he realized Smith didn't really know much about that side of filmmaking, he openly mocked him. Later, Smith would blame Willis for the movie's failure. Said he had to cut almost 80% of the footage. Some of it was ruined by Willis. Some of it is just unusable because scenes didn't even make sense anymore. Willis, of course, saw it completely differently. According to him, the problem was Kevin Smith. Said the guy didn't know what he was doing, couldn't work with actors, and spent too much time smoking weed. Smith, on the other hand, later described the whole experience as emotionally brutal and called Willis the most unpleasant person he had ever worked with. And honestly, that says a lot, because after that, Willis fully became the version people now talk about, the one we all know. After Red 2 underperformed and A Good Day to Die Hard didn't land, Willis basically disappeared into direct-to-video movies. And the quality? About as low as it gets. He was doing 5, sometimes 6 of those movies a year. Usually not even the lead, just showing up for a few minutes, collecting a paycheck. And here's the craziest part. Rumors say he was getting paid for those few minutes like it was a full lead role in something like Red 2. And when you think about it, that makes sense. You can't shoot 5 big-budget movies a year, those take months. But these smaller films? Quick shoots, easy money. Projects like Vice or Precious Cargo ended up making him way more overall. He probably only agreed to do Glass because the shoot was short, just over a month. And he was only there for about 2 weeks. After that, right back to the same pattern. Low-budget movies, low ratings. Most of them barely crossed 4 out of 10. Sadly, because of his illness, there's no comeback story here, no return, no new roles, but in the end, that doesn't really matter. Because what stays isn't how his career ended. It's the characters he created, the moments he gave us, and the movies people will keep coming back to for years. That was Frameback. Subscribe for more rewinds and see you on the next one.